friends, welcome to yet another recap video. This is recap video number 7. I originally intended to make like 3 of these and now we're here. But we're gonna get through them. I'm biting off a very reasonable chunk for this video. I only have notes for January through March of 2025, which is kind of interesting because I'm filming this in March of 2026, so it's like 1 year ago, and I'm gonna be recounting all the steps it took to get to Nashville, and now I've been here for a year, which is crazy. It's been really good. I am overwhelmed and I'm ready to take on some more, which is kind of just how I roll. Go check out the other recap videos if you want a little insight into how these things work, but I think we would be better off if we just jump right into it. So in January of 2025, I was working at Trader Joe's still, which was just kind of a fun, I don't know, it was one of the only open job positions on Cape Cod at the time. Cape Cod absolutely blooms in the summer, and that's when you get all sorts of job opportunities and everybody's just there. But in the winter, it's trickier, and I lived there in the winter, so I was driving 30 minutes each way to Trader Joe's to work there. But it was a good time. It was a great community. It was easy to have kind of an extroverted experience there if you were in that mood that day, or to just kind of separate yourself and get lost in the task. That was a fun side quest thing that I did, and I spent a lot of that month doing that. I also went to New York, of course. I always go to New York. We went, and my sister and I saw Romeo and Juliet with Rachel Zegler and Kit Connor, which was so good. I feel like it really enlivened Shakespeare for me because I'd read Romeo and Juliet obviously and seen the movie, but seeing it with people my age made it make so much sense, and they like reinterpreted the text a little bit. They used the exact same text, but like the emphasis they were placing on different words really made it make sense for me. It was just really good and really fun, and I enjoyed it. I saw Cabaret for the 4th and final time. I saw Cabaret with my dad, and that was when Adam Lambert was in it, and oh my gosh, he was just phenomenal in that role. The way he did I Don't Care Much gave me chills, and I just am thinking about it to this day. He was so incredible, and it was fun to see that with my dad and force him to go, because I've seen it 4 times. It's a great show, so he had to see it, and I'm glad he saw it with Adam Lambert because that was just really so good. My whole family saw All In. That was like a big reason why we went to New York. Okay, so we went to see John Mulaney, who was so awesome to see. We also had Chloe Fineman, Richard Kind, and Fred Armisen. So that was really fun. My whole family loves SNL, and so that was a big thing for us, and we had a great time. It was good. I saw one show by myself, and it was between Maybe Happy Ending and Sunset Boulevard, and I saw Sunset Boulevard, and having seen both now, I'm so glad I saw Sunset Boulevard. I went in almost completely blind. I did not know what I was getting myself into. All I knew was that they did the outside walk scene, like kind of the cast, and so I just totally got to experience it like just super fresh, like a totally fresh story. Usually I know more about shows that I'm going into, but it just blew my mind. I don't know, the way that they did the camera stuff and the like black and white color scheme, and the orchestration is phenomenal. The way that the actors portrayed their roles and the juxtaposition between Norma Desmond and everybody else, I left shocked, and I left nauseated. I like needed a minute to collect myself. It was crazy, but so good. And I had not experienced that from theater in a while, where like it just made me gobsmacked. I don't know. So that was really, really cool, and I'm glad I saw that. I am a Jamie Lloyd fan. Hate to say it. I think he's doing interesting stuff. He's definitely a one-trick pony, but nobody else does what he does. My family also stole me away from Broadway for one night to go to the Comedy Cellar, which I was not the most stoked about because normally I really just want to see Broadway. But I'm really glad that I have been now, because that is kind of a like thing you have to do in New York, you know, and I have been so many times and never been to the Comedy Cellar. So that was a fun little thing to do together. That was New York. I also was teaching music still to kids. I was still singing at my church. Yeah, and then I did this like youth competition thing. It was like 17 to 23, something like that. It was called Performers on the Go. Oh, we also had book club, of course. I had started this book club that previous fall with a couple girls from my church, and yeah, it was fun. I would always do like these fun food spreads that related to the book, which is cool. Our December book had been The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe by C.S. Lewis, and I finished that at the beginning of January. I had read it before, but it was my first reread in like forever, and it was so fun. It was an easy read. It was a good time. I was reading it in New York when I was with my family. A barista at Maman was like, "No way, you're reading The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe? Like, did you know its backstory and everything?" I'm like, "Uh-huh, I definitely do." But he was like, "You're so cool." I was like, "Wow, thanks." Our book club pick for that next month, I did finish in January as well. That was The Silent Patient by Alex Michaelides. I had that on my shelf for a while, and so anytime I got to influence the book club pick, it was always something that I just had and had been meaning to read. I had been told that it had like a crazy plot twist. It was kind of crazy, I guess. It didn't totally do it for me. I don't know. I wanted the shock value, and it's hard to have shock value, like spectacle, and also a really unexpected plot twist. So I think it gave more of the spectacle than anything. I don't know. I'm finding that I am hard to please with plot twists. I didn't realize that until recently, but I guess I am. I wrote 2 songs that month. I talked in the previous video about how I had this dream about getting married to a man that a previous version of me had somehow vetted, but I had no idea who he was. It kind of made me feel weird about romance for a while because I have always been a hopeless romantic. The idea that I could be committing my life to someone without full trust in them was something I'd never considered. And I guess that is just a part of relationships, is you have to go out on a limb to trust people, but I never had a problem with that until I had that dream. And so I wrote this song, Lost My Future Husband, that was talking about that dream and how I have never been in a relationship, and now like my half of the equation was starting to be broken too. And so it was this idea that maybe my future husband died, and that's why I was feeling so weird about it. I just had this like weird unexplainable grief about romance. So, interesting concept. That was that song.
If I don't know this man, how could he love me? How could what little I know suffice him to go until death do we stray? Love is losing all its taste. I think I've lost my future husband.
And then I wrote the song Grow as I was starting to think about moving. 2 of my really good friends from my church had just moved away. One moved to Minnesota and one moved to Oklahoma, both for different opportunities that were really, really good for them. And I was starting to have some qualms with the way that my church was processing my departure, and I know that at least one of them had some qualms with that as well. I wrote this song that was like, I'm realizing that I think I haven't considered growth important in so long. I forgot that growth is an important thing to do. Kind of wrote it about these 2 friends that moved away and did grow in crazy ways, and how I just needed to remember to prioritize that as I took that next step in my life.
It's been a couple years and I drove a couple miles, but I always come back here, back to this pretentious isle. All the progress that I made was when I agreed to go. When I've come back to the Cape, I've forgotten how to go.
Some music that I was into in January, I got really into Halloween in January by Kid Gloves. Kid Gloves has really like moody songs, I guess, but they're like well produced in the world that they exist in, I guess. Like the production matches the song, if that makes sense. So I really like listening to that one on repeat every month or 2. I also got really into Xynadelphia. I really like the song Snap Out of It, but her whole EP, The Magazine, is really great. Whenever I would work a night shift at Trader Joe's, we were allowed to have earbuds in while we worked for the last 2 hours while the store was closed, and so I was listening to a bunch of new music And that's how I found all this stuff. My best friend recommended Gracie Binion, who is a Christian artist, but she does like Christian alternative kind of stuff. And that was really good for me. I think I did a week where I wasn't listening to any music that wasn't about Jesus. And I was mostly listening to her because that album was great. I would come to go to the church that she just moved away from in Nashville. So that's kind of a fun, small world kind of thing. And then I was listening to Abby Gamboa as well. Her album Pure is just like one of my favorite Christian albums of all time. I watched 6 movies in January, which again feels pathetic to me now. I rewatched Wicked, of course, because it was so good. I have it as my 4th in my top 4 on Letterboxd right now, but I just turned on Theater Camp the other day while I was cooking, and that was previously my 4th pick before I saw Wicked, and it's such a toss-up. I really don't know. There was a night that I was hanging out with my family, and I was in the mood to watch a movie, but my dad was watching football, my mom and my sister were doing whatever they were doing, so I brought my laptop and just watched a movie with headphones on my laptop. And it was All of Us Strangers. It had been something I'd always been wanting to watch, but I didn't really want to watch it like with anyone because I wasn't sure what the vibes were gonna be. By the end of that, I was a sobbing mess. Like, football is on in the background, big lights are on, and I'm just gone. It was so sad. It got me so bad. And I didn't see that one coming, but that was like a sad plot twist instead of a surprising plot twist. But I think the sad plot twists get to me more because I'm more willing to experience sadness than surprise, I suppose. I don't really know if that's true. In a similar vein, Shrek Forever After was invited over to my friend's house and we watched that. There was actually a really funny quote from my friend Bobby. Fiona, where were you when I needed you? Bobby, I was busy not being born. Rumpy got me. So good. I'm not a big Shrek fan, but I watched My Old Ass, and that was another really good one to watch alone. But that one got to me too. Interesting with the idea of just like growing up and regrets and trying to micromanage your future versus younger self, which is very me because I have trouble living in the present. I'm very much in the future or the past. I watched Amelia Perez. That's the only half-star review I have on Letterboxd. It was so awful. It was, I can imagine, incredibly offensive. I'm not the like demographic that it would be offensive to, but from my perspective, it seemed incredibly offensive. The color grading and lighting, you couldn't see anything on the screen. I watched it at night. I couldn't see anything. The songs were horrible. They were all like 30 seconds long. People who couldn't speak Spanish were speaking Spanish. It was a nightmare. And then the final movie that I watched that month was You Hurt My Feelings. I don't remember anything about that. I think it was very thoroughly mid. And that was January. February, I went to New York again. Are we surprised? I did another trip with my best friend Rachel. I believe that was when she had gone with her mom to Punxsutawney for Groundhog Day because that was like on her mom's bucket list. It was like a 50th birthday thing, I believe, or 60th or something, I'm not sure. Yeah, she made her way from California to Punxsutawney, and by then we were like, well, we should do something. And I had just seen Sunset Boulevard, and I really wanted her to see it because she majored in film in college, and I knew that her mind would be blown by the film aspect of that show. I took the train to New York, and we got another tiny little hotel room. I got there before she did, and so I walked from Times Square to the Trader Joe's on like 23rd and got all of my food for that weekend from there because I wanted to be cheap. So I think I did do like the whole weekend in $30 for food anyway. So that was good, but it was a long haul and I didn't know how to take the subway yet. I mean, I knew how, but I just didn't, you know? And so I walked that whole way and that was nuts. I got tickets that night for A Wonderful World, the Louis Armstrong musical, which was like the only one I could get tickets to. It makes me think it was on a Monday because I would have gotten tickets to something else, but it was random and I was like, this is here, so I'm gonna do it. And I'd never been to that theater before. I had tickets for that, and then Rachel got in at like 6, and she was like taking an Uber in and trying to figure out how long it was gonna take her. I was like, you should come with me to this show. And she's like, I don't know if I can swing it. I was like, I will get you a ticket, we can do it. And so I ended up getting her a ticket and we walked in like immediately after. Like she didn't even go to the hotel room, I don't think. And then I had a seat next to me in the back of the orchestra for the second act, and so she came down from like the balcony and sat with me, so that was fun. That show is crazy though because Louis Armstrong had so many wives, And the whole musical was about all of his wives. It was really weird. But James Monroe Iglehart is a delight, so that was fine. It definitely was a Monday because we saw Sunset Boulevard that Tuesday because I wanted to see Mandy Gonzalez as Norma Desmond. I had seen Nicole Scherzinger the first time, but I knew Mandy Gonzalez ahead of time, and I didn't know Nicole Scherzinger, and so I wanted to see both of their Normas. I did like Nicole Scherzinger's better, unfortunately, but it was still incredible, and Rachel was absolutely blown away too. She didn't have that nauseated feeling that I did, but I think I spoiled too much ahead of time for her because I just kept talking about it. We saw Maybe Happy Ending. We both loved Darren Criss, so that was very fun to see. She definitely cried through a lot of that. That is definitely her kind of musical, just like very endearing and sweet. We saw Urinetown at New York City Center. That was her first New York City Center. We sat super close, like third or fourth row in the center. They were great seats. And that was Jordan Fisher and Keila Settle and Rainn Wilson. Some of the most amazing vocals. They were just so good. And it's kind of a silly musical, but the vocals were so, so good. Keila Settle and Jordan Fisher together, man, you just can't beat it. And we sat like 2 rows in front of Andrew Barth Feldman, which was fun. I always tell everyone that New York City Center is where you go to see theater celebrities. And yeah, that was our trip to New York. We did our other standard everything, bookstores, coffee shops. Oh, and there is a vlog for that one too. We talk for a really long time at like 2 a.m. on that one. It's a good time if you want to go check it out. That month, I also traveled to Nashville with my mom to go apartment hunting. I had prayed about when I should move that previous August, and I felt like I needed to start making arrangements in November and then move in February. And I ended up moving in March, so it was a little later than I planned. My mom and I came out here for just a little bit to look at apartments, and we went to some coffee shops and restaurants and stuff. There was a really big snowstorm while we were here. I wouldn't say really big, I guess, but for Nashville, it was big. They do not know how to salt the roads here. So my mom and I were trying to walk to Paradiso's for coffee on the morning that it snowed, because in Massachusetts you would do that, and it was very, very difficult. We toured a bunch of apartments, and there's a vlog for that too, which is crazy. It was fun to come here, and that was like the first time I actually saw Nashville, because I had only been here on tour, and that was really fast, and I like drove in, played a show, grabbed food, and then hung out at my friend's house all night. So it was good to see the city I was moving to. I was playing some gigs. I played at Bucky's Biscotti. I played the Songbird Collective for the last time. Love the Songbird Collective. I do just want to hype them up every time I mention them. They're so great. Did CPR training. I'm CPR certified now, which is cool. I wrote this one song. It's called Mistook. I wrote it about my celebrity crush. I had another dream. I had a dream that I was like pulling into a parking spot at a mall, and he was just sitting in the front seat in the parking spot next to me, and I was like, I feel like I should like say something, you know? I want to marry this man, so.
I've been careful. I haven't indulged myself. I unfollowed all your socials, left my hopes atop the shelf, but I've been slipping subconscious or otherwise, 'cause I'm dreading your proposal, feeling sure it won't be mine.
The music I was into, I got really into Sophia James. I discovered her that month. I loved her song Still. I listened to that on repeat. So good. Ugh. And then I also got into Bad Books. I was listening to Manchester Orchestra, found Bad Books, and I love the song It Never Stops from their revised version, not their first one. Rachel insists that the first one was better. I insist that the second one is better. And then I got into Guster's album, Ooh La Lux. I was not super into it on the first listen, but then listening through it some more, like Witness Tree, Black Balloon, Enchantée, The Elevator, all great songs. And then just 2 movies that month. I watched You're Cordially Invited with my parents, Reese Witherspoon, you know, that kind of movie. And then I watched A Real Pain with my dad, and that was a really good one. I love Kieran Culkin, and I'm coming to really like Jesse Eisenberg too. And that one was so good because it just balanced the comedy and, yeah, I don't know, just situational drama thing really well. And then the last month that we're talking about, hopefully this video will be shorter than the other ones, was March of 2025. Let's just jump into like the media and stuff first, I was super into Dora Jar for music. I pretty much exclusively listened to her album. Her production is so interesting and cool. Her guitar licks are awesome. The album just really encompasses so many vibes. It's so good. I watched 4 movies. I watched Jojo Rabbit with my family. They had never seen it, and that is just such a good movie. So I'm glad that they saw it. I felt a little weird going into it because obviously the premise is a little odd where you're like imaginary friend Hitler, but they really liked it. I really like it. Taika Waititi is crazy. I don't know how you make a movie like that and succeed, but he did. I watched We Live in Time. Oh, that one hurt so bad. I'd probably do for a rewatch of that one because I love Florence Pugh and I love Andrew Garfield. I am definitely a hypochondriac. I am always afraid that I have some kind of health issue, and that is the reason I'm on anxiety meds. That movie was so interesting because obviously you would think it would like spike my anxiety, but I had never seen like a cancer movie like that told out of sequence. And that totally livened things up for me because I think I usually just see it as like your life is just a march toward this inevitable end. But the way that they show that movie, it was like, no, your life is a series of moments, and that is part of your life, but it doesn't govern your end. Like the beginning and middle of your life is of equal importance and equal relevance as the end. I don't think I'm speaking eloquently enough about this, but it just was really shocking to me. It also made me start a tag on Letterboxd, Dog Made Me Cry. I was doing okay the whole movie until that dog came in the door, and then I just was an absolute wreck. Oh my gosh. After that, I needed to watch something a little bit lighter, so I watched How to Train Your Dragon for the first time. I had never seen it, so that was good that I got to see that. Once I moved, my mom and I watched The Life List. That was just a new thing on Netflix at the time. And then I wrote one song. It's called Bassett, Hound. That one I know for sure is up on my YouTube. And I wrote that also about my celebrity crush. And now you can probably see who it is, but I had to block him because I was developing too unhealthy of an attachment. But if he's seeing this and wants to hit me up, we could be good for each other. I don't know.
Wanna be a bassett, help me till you found me. Proudly on your back porch waiting. I'm where you left me, cried, bereft, faces, friends parading. She was right there, under your nose. She's in your hair, don't you suppose that I could be a bassett, help me till I'm around eternally. I wanna be a bassett, hound. I wanna be a bassett, hound.
Then the big thing in March was moving to Nashville. So that was kind of the whole month just spent like tying bows on things. I had my last day at Trader Joe's. I wrote people a bunch of notes. They had a tradition where they would like break out a little treat for anyone on their last day. And so we got to have 2 different kinds of like vegan ice cream things at the end of the night, which is so sweet that they would do that. And their vegan ice cream stuff is fire. I had a little goodbye party at our house. A bunch of people came over and hung out. That was really sweet. We had a whole like pink spread. And then my mom and I drove here, packed my Subaru, and did it. And my dad joined us a little bit later, and they spent like a week or 2 here helping me move in and everything. My mom does interior design, and so she decorated my apartment, which was so sweet of her, and definitely a helpful blessing going into living alone, that I feel at home in my space. Pretty much immediately when I moved here, I bought season passes to TPAC, the Tennessee Performing Arts Center. I had always envied my friends who had season passes to things in San Francisco for Broadway when I was growing up, and so it was fun to get to do that for myself and have that to look forward to go see a bunch of shows here. I just bought my 2nd season pass, so yay. Very shortly after I moved, there was a tornado, which apparently is a thing. I learned very quickly. There are sirens. It's a whole thing. I didn't know how scared to be, so my mom and I, in the middle of the night, moved into my bathroom. I'm on the 3rd floor, so that's not ideal. We moved into my bathroom. I brought a bunch of blankets into my bathtub, and I slept in my bathtub. I can kind of sleep anywhere. I'm a great sleeper. So I was conked out. I saw Medium Build and Joy Erotica with my parents at the Ryman. That was kind of our first, like, Nashville thing. I had to go to the Ryman, so I got that checked off the list real quick. And it was fun to see Medium Build. I was really into Medium Build right around when I was driving through Nashville on tour, so that was kind of a fun full circle moment. Started nannying and just getting settled, and the beginning of that whole journey. Every recap video from here on out is going to be set in Nashville, which is crazy. We made it that far at least, and I've been here for a year now, which is wild. It doesn't really feel like it. I've been taking it day by day. I am happy to say that I kept myself alive for a year and paid my own rent for a year and hung out with friends and had a good time and made the most of it. So I'm gonna be making more of the most of it coming up. That is Nashville and March of 2025. So we're gonna just do these in 3-month increments, I think. Hopefully these are a little shorter, a little more manageable for me to edit so that I'm actually like getting these out to you, you know? But yeah, that was the beginning of 2025. Thank you for joining me again. Hopefully this one was a little bit easier to digest. I'm excited to tell you more about 2025. I am working on a new era of things. Things are starting to get finished. Things are moving, you guys. I am having a bit of an identity crisis that I'm going to tell you about soon. Things are changing. Things are moving. And I'm going to get some stuff to you. Believe it. It's true. Let me know if you have questions. Let me know what you want to see. I am excited to record some music for you soon, but I want to get through these because I said I was gonna. Let me know how you're doing. Come hang out with me on Instagram or YouTube or whatever. And I hope that the beginning of your year has also been so wonderful. All right. Love you. Bye.